everyone doing? I just want to say that we're all super excited to be here. This is something we talk about regularly amongst ourselves, is how amazing and supportive you, the Turtles fans, are. So please give yourself a round. Currently working on issue Ninja Turtles 86, and that is pretty remarkable. So it's coming up on 7 years. So again, thank you guys. It's because of you guys. It's your support. We love getting your letters. We love meeting you guys. We've got a signing today at 1 o'clock. So please come to our booth and visit us there. We'll talk more about that later. But right now, let's get into some new stuff that we've got going on. I want to introduce my fantastic panelists. First and foremost, I've got Team Ninja Turtles co-creator, Steve. Thank you guys, love you guys. And right next to him, we've got the incredibly talented artist, writer, Matthias. And we've also got Tom Waltz, the incredible writer. My hero. And I'm your hapless editor, Bobby Kerna. We're going to start with a little black Q&A at the mic at the end, but Megan, new assistant editor Megan Brown is here. She'll be coming. Get the right answer, we've got a free giveaway for you. All right, let's get to it. So our blast from the past is Kevin Eastman's Body Counts. Yeah! So Kevin, if you could talk a little bit about this book, how it came into being, and why we're seeing it again now.
Thanks, Bobby. Yes, Body Count was a really crazy, twisted idea that Simon Bisley and I had back in 1995. He was visiting me from the UK. We were working on a project, and I kept talking about John Woo. He just got to be here in the States, the director. And Simon he was like, who the heck is John Woo? And so I had him watch a bunch of his movies, and he said, we have to do the longest running gunfight in comics, which happened to be around the same time that we were doing a turtle story. And so we sort of dovetailed John Woo, Simon Bisley's insanity, and all of this into a Casey Raphael story. And it was 96 pages, originally published by Image. And it's probably the most violent and insane, yes, turtle story ever done. It doesn't go, it goes there. Yeah, it's pretty bad. But it's a lot of fun. It's a nice little romp, and it had been put on a shelf for quite a while, since 1996. And IDW through Top Shelf has decided to put out a very special edition, and it's coming out just now, right, Bobby? So check it out. It's a lot of fun.
Can you just talk a little bit, how did you first meet Simon? Obviously you guys have been working together for years now. It's a very unique relationship. How did you guys first meet?
I met him at a con in the UK, and he's kind of like a virus. He sort of sticks to you and you can't get rid of him. No, Simon and I were, I was a huge fan of his work. I'd seen him on ABC Warriors, Judge Dredd. He had just done, I think, the Judge Dredd Batman crossover, and I just loved his work. And as owner, publisher of Heavy Metal, I implored him to come and work for me and do some covers, and the more we get to know each other, it was just, it's like, I feel like we're Casey and Raphael, because it's like, the most trouble I've ever gotten into in my life has been with Simon. It's usually Simon's fault. For some reason I just go along with it. So we really hit it off, and I had this project called Melting Pot that I was developing, and I asked Simon what he was going to do next as a project, and he said, I want to do that. I want to do Melting Pot. So that was the first thing we worked on, and that was early 90s. And so we long time good friends. We've done a lot of real insane stories and adventures together. So he's a great guy. He's going to be here, by the way. I heard. I don't know where. Probably there's a bar called The Fields up in the gas lamp. An Irish bar. He's probably there most of the time. So if you can find Simon, you can find him there.
I don't know if I've ever asked you this, but why Casey and Raph? Well, you have a special affinity for them. Why those two?
You know, it's something about when I came up with the idea for Casey Jones. You know, it was big for Peter and I at that time because we introduced April in issue 2. That was the first human friend that was brought into the turtle family. And I had this idea because Raphael's kind of our brooding hothead. He's always dealing with some issues. He's got a lot of anger issues. And I thought if he met somebody that was crazier than him, that he might look inward a little bit, maybe say, hey, maybe I should tone it down a little bit. So I said to Pete, I get this idea, Casey Jones, he's just a vigilante, but he became a vigilante because he watched too much bad TV. And so, TJ Hooker, 18, things like that. But he had a mask on, and he had the sweats, and this kind of really basic outfit, carried 2 baseball bats. And Pete said, wouldn't it be cool if he had a golf bag? And he sort of put all of his extra weapons in there, and that's how Casey came together. But it was just something about teaming them up, and that one story I really fell in love with Casey as a character and Ralph, because like when they're not beating up bad guys, they're beating each other up, just 2 goofball brothers, and the fans really embraced him as a character. We kept bringing him back into the different Turtle universes, and he's sort of my go-to, when I want to do something that I can do for a Turtle Adventure that's off to the left or right. I can take Raphael places, darker places, weirder places, crazier places, and get away with it. So I love teaming those guys up. I've done it quite a lot. Good fun.
Our first question is is Kevin Eastman centric? In the IDW comic, which character that debuted in the Turtles micro-series Raphael was the first new Turtles character that Kevin designed in 15 years? I saw this hand immediately. Why don't you stand up and speak loud?
Alex.
That's right. Okay, so we're going straight from the past to the future. We have Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This is the brand new cartoon that's debuting in just a couple months. This has been really, really fun to work on. The first comic, or number 0 issue, just came out yesterday. It's written by Matt Manning and drawn by Chad Thomas. And what really strikes me about this series is the humor. Of course, Turtles have always been, especially in the cartoons, have been funny and have had a great, weird sense of humor. But that's been dialed up to 11 here, and that's been it's been fun to read the scripts. It's been fun to see advanced glimpses at the TV show. The dynamic is a little bit different. Raphael is the leader, and Michelangelo is still the pizza craving party guy. But there's some different dynamics. A lot of brand new villains. In the number one issue, the villain that we're introducing is named Man Bun. He is a hipster mutant bunny rabbit. So that gives you a little feel for what you're going to be seeing in this series. It's going to be a lot of crazy adventure, a lot of new characters, a lot of new settings. I can't speak too much about it because the show is coming out, but I hope you guys will check out the number 0 comic. We'll have it at our booth. Kevin, another question for you. This is the 4th cartoon of Turtles. What is it? Is it all old hat for you now? Is it like another cartoon, whatever, or is it still exciting to see?
No, it's always exciting, especially even as a good comparison is like when I came, IDW invited me to work on the new comic series. When I met Tom and I met Bobby, and they told me what they wanted to do with the series, where they want to take it. What was so exciting to me is that each of these series, and what was important to these guys, especially in it relates to this, is the importance of family. The Turtles keeping the characters true to the Turtle family aspect and true to their origins. It was this great energy coming from fresh eyes on the characters, fresh eyes on the concept, bringing new ideas. I mean, it's like when I think that every single Turtle story, we did 300 original cartoons, plus the 2000 series, plus this, and you think like, or every idea has been tapped, and then this new ones, and it gets exciting. And that's what it is like on this new series, much like the IDW series. It's a fresh mind looking at it. Andy and Ant had worked with Ciro on the series, the 2000 series, the 2012 series, which I like very, very much. When they told me what they were doing with this, all of us, they invited us to be part of the development of it, and I just fell in love with it. It's a really different angle. It's a lot of room for the Turtles as characters to grow, but they're still the Turtles you love, but there's some really twisted, fun stuff in there, so I think you're going to enjoy it.
And Bob, you made a good point. It's funny because when this was announced and they started showing artwork, it's funny how everybody who has no clue and has never seen anything or has no idea what's happening hates it already, and they never even saw it. So sometimes we have this advantage of being on the inside, and we're pretty critical. I mean, we're critical of ourselves. We'd be critical of a new cartoon, and Kevin and I got to go up to Burbank and sit with them in the writer's room, and I walked out of there and I told Kevin, this is going to be pretty crazy and a lot of fun. I mean, they were Turtles fans, 100%, 110%, and it was kind of bizarre for me because Kevin says he came and he met Bobby and I and we had new ideas. Well, I've been doing this a little while now, so it was kind of cool for me to be in those shoes, to see other people with new ideas. And I walked out of it and I said, some of those I said, I wish I thought of that. And so this is going to be a really good show. I'm really excited for it, and I think they're going to do some things that obviously tap into the core of the Turtles mythos, but even I was kind of excited because I think some of the stuff that we've done is inspiring them. So I'm really curious to see where that goes. So give it a chance. It's going to be a good show. Really like it.
What's also really fun is Andy Serrano, one of the showrunners, and too. Andy comes from comics. He started as a comic book artist and writer. They're both very involved in the comic book. So I think that it also really bleeds into the TV show as a great comic book sensibility. So I really love the 2012 cartoon, but I think this is going to be something different and definitely worth checking out. All right, we're going to move into our Turtles ongoing series. But first, we're going to have another question. This is from the IDW comic. Who named the Turtles after Renaissance artists? Back there, I think you're a Power Ranger. What? Nope, incorrect. I'm sorry. Right here. April O'Neil, that's right. April O'Neil was an intern at Stockton, but also while she was in college, she was taking a Renaissance art class. All right, let's get into the ongoing series. Starting with issue 85.
Issue 85. So as you can see by the cover there, we have by the awesome Brown Rebel. We have, and he's also the interior artist for the issue. We have the return of Leatherhead. So last seen in Dimension X, Leatherhead had a kind of a unique snack when he swallowed General Krang and sort of disappeared. He's reappeared, I believe, in the universe for a short story, Turtles Universe, but now he's back, and he's back in New York City. And so for this story, the Turtles catch wind that he's in town, and they have to venture out because they feel kind of responsible for him being in New York, and in a lot of ways, the fact that he's a fellow mutant that's confused. So they venture out into the city to, I want to say, confront him, but also maybe kind of help him. But things go awry because certain aspects of what happened in Dimension X are carrying over, and this is where we first start to see that the ending of Dimension X wasn't maybe as cut as dry as everybody thought.
What's really fascinating about Leatherhead, a little spoiler for folks, that's pretty easy to figure out if you've read the first 50 issues of our arc, is that we're kind of working in 50-issue chunks in terms of mega story, and by the end of number 50, we've tried to make everything that we've been building up to in the previous issues come together in that issue. And so it's not a real surprise that we're trying to do the same thing leading up to number 100. We've had to introduce a lot of different elements, the villain Bishop, the Triceratons, and Utrons like we saw at the beginning slide. There's going to be, the Pantheon is going to be involved. All these things are going to come to a head. Leatherhead is really the X factor in this. He's not aligned with anyone. He doesn't really have anyone else's best interests in heart. So he's definitely someone to keep an eye on because he's going to be playing kind of a pivotal but unexpected role coming up in the series. And then starting with number 86, we've got a brand new storyline called Battle Lines. Kevin, why don't you talk a little bit about our brainstorming process, our little mind meld sessions?
They're too short. No, it's probably the most fun I have. Doing anything Turtles. It's getting to hang out with Tom, getting to hang out with Bobby. And I say that too short because half the time when we come in and we've looked at a block of stories where we want to go in a different arc and leading to, like, when we were leading up to issue 50, it was a very sort of carefully choreographed path. The same thing with issue 100. So we'll start and Bobby will schedule them for about 2 hours. And about 2 hours in, we're already still like, and it's like, oh, we gotta go. And, because the ideas keep coming and coming and coming, and we, there's no room to fit everything in that would like to. And one of my favorite parts, besides, because I call Tom as an official, and Bobby as well, they're official dads of the Turtles now, which is funny when you were talking about Rise of the Turtles. You walk into the room and you now live with the Turtles since 2011, you guys. So you get like, what are you doing to my kids? But it's what I love about this, the process so much is just the thought that goes into it, the amount of detail that goes into it, because it's always, it's not like we ever say, hey, if we brought in this character right now, maybe it would have an effect with the fans, or maybe an effect on sales, or maybe it would affect this, or but it's always very specifically story-centric. It's the most important thing to Tom, the most important thing to Bobby, and all of us is that the story stays true to the vision, that we keep the heart and soul. And when we bring in a character, we take them to another stage of development. It's carefully looking now back at 85 issues that Tom's written all of. And incorporating into, Bobby oversees that, plus the Turtle Universe, all these Turtle Universes, but it's with much thought, much consideration, and it is the best fun I have ever. Being involved in the series is the coolest thing ever. I love it very, very much.
And it's funny because sometimes we get credit for being so specific in our storylines and so I guess future thinking and have the plot so well thought out. And in a certain sense that's true, but it's also a fluid process. So we've learned over the years that we have these ideas and we have big milestones we're shooting for, and there's still some to come, some things that I'm very excited about. But to get to those milestones, we have a track we follow, but it's okay to get off the beaten track a little bit here and there. And sometimes it's just the stories and the characters take that way, and or other creators. That's the one thing that's been cool about Turtles Universe comic series, is that I'll read those as a fan, and then as a creator say, I'm gonna steal that, or that's the better idea than I think we had. Let's go in that direction. And so that keeps it interesting. That keeps it fun because. Kevin's talking, I just finished writing 87, working on 88 right now, and you would think after all that time and doing this month in and month out, it would be easier, but if anything, it gets more terrifying every issue because we do have certain milestones we want to hit. So there was that road to 50, and when we got to 50, I stopped and I went, oh, we did it. And then they said, 51. I was like, here we go again. And that's how I feel right now. We're kind of in that home stretch to 100 right now, and there's a lot of things we want to do and some big things and big surprises we want to drop on everybody. But it's important to us that it happens in a natural way, in a way that's organic and doesn't feel like we're pandering or kind of shoving things in there that don't belong. So it's hard work, but it's fun work.
Sort of mentioned Nickelodeon as well, Joe and Hilty and stuff because we are the main creative team. But Nickelodeon's support for this project since day one, what they not only brought into and allowed us to do within the series, to go to places that we even were sort of like, can we go there? Can we go there? But they've been very supportive and they're very creative. They add a lot of good creative to the process that we do. So it's a great partner to have. They let us cut loose and have a lot of fun.
So this storyline, Battle Lines, I kind of consider this the preamble before our big push starting probably around issue 90, 91, leading to number 100. This sets up a lot of the conflict that's going to come. Tom, without giving anything away, can you give us kind of the basic bullet points, the overview of what's going on in the storyline?
Sure. Well, we have a villain that we've been kind of highlighting recently named Ancient Bishop. And Bishop, he wants to get to the mutants. He's a guy that's, he feels like he runs an Earth protection force. So their job is to protect Earth, and he feels that if you're not an Earthling, if you're not a human, then you're an enemy. He's had his sights on the mutants, but recently he had a little war with the Triceratons in New York City that was stopped with the help of the Turtles, and with also the Utroms, which is Crane's race. And they exist on Burno Island, which is out, I guess we call it in the Atlantic Ocean somewhere, and they were former enemies, the Triceratons and Utroms, but Donnie has been able to broker a peace between these two alien races. But what Bishop sees is a target. Now all his alien enemies are on Burno Island. So this story is basically the invasion of Burno Island as Bishop takes his war to the next level, and now he's going to be fighting a joint force of Triceratons and Utroms, but of course the Turtles catch wind of this, and these are their friends, these are former allies, and they can't stay out of this battle. But they can't do it alone, so we'll be seeing some other surprise allies joining this war. It's kind of like the end of The Hobbit, I guess. All the 5 armies or whatever came together. That's what's kind of happening. But it's exciting for me. One of the most exciting things for me is I'm an old Marine, and I got to write an amphibious assault because we did that a bazillion times when I was in the Marines. So I got all my old references and old videos and sent it to the artist and said, this is what it looks like, this is how I want it to feel, because this is exactly what happens when they do an amphibious assault in an island. So I got to pull over the military out of me in this one.
As we can see, I think this is the first time I've seen Kevin's cover for number 87. Kevin mentioned some friends and allies showing up, and we see the Mutanimals here. I think it's safe to say, Bishop has been mind kind of controlling using Slash, the big giant mutant turtle that's sometimes been an enemy, but more recently has been an ally. of the Turtles, but he's been controlled by Bishop for his own purposes, kind of as his own bodyguard. And you know that I remember, Mateus, you drew that the storyline Desperate Measures when that all happened. And I still am heartbroken when I remember him coming into the Mutanimals lair and no one knows anything's wrong and he beats them all up. And well drawn, Mateus. But in many ways, this is going to be the culmination of this storyline where Slash has been away and been acting very villainous under the control of Bishop. And here we have the cover for number 87. So this is going to be kind of a point of no return for Slash. And so if you're a Slash fan, definitely check out this issue. Like we said, this is going to wrap up some story points and then catapult us into the final year before issue number 100. And Turtles Universe is over for now, but we're coming back with more mini-series. Coming up in August, we've got a 5-week event. But before I get to that, let's do another question. In our comic, in the beginning of the series, all the Turtles wear red. Why is that? Rocksteady hit the road. A couple years ago, we did a series called Bebop and Rocksteady Destroy Everything. That was by Ben Bates and Dustin Weaver and a slew of very talented artists. They also worked on the very first Bebop and Rocksteady micro-series, which kind of introduced those characters in a real way. They've got such a great handle on the characters. I think a lot of people, when they heard that we were bringing Bebop and Rocksteady, kind of rolled their eyes, said, oh, they're just morons. You know, this is a more adult series. Why are we bringing these cartoon characters? What I've been so impressed with what they've done, what Tom's done, and also, I think, Mateus, you were the first one to draw them mutated, is they're still idiots. They're still complete idiots and great comedic relief. But they're really extremely dangerous. They care only about themselves. There's no one stronger than them. You know, maybe Slash and Leatherhead are about the same power level. But they're a real threat. And so in this series, they are traveling from Mexico, from South America, and they are coming back home to New York City. So this is their crazy adventure on the way, what happens during that journey. It's full of, this is possibly the funniest Turtles comic we've seen. It's definitely one of the craziest. We're going to see Bebop and Rocksteady, how they were as humans. This is a beautiful cover drawn by Dustin Weaver. Their pet Velociraptor, Anchovy, is also in the mix still. And here is a 2-page spread coming from the very first issue. Mateus, what was it like to recreate these characters and bring them back into our world? Because you kind of give them your own special spin.
Yeah, actually, I don't have to think that hard, you know. Just I only had the only thing that I was aiming is to make them look more realistic, you know, to match this adult vibe that the IDW books have. But other than that, it's pretty much straightforward, the same thing that was back then. You know.
Who's your favorite villain to draw?
From both of them?
No, just in the entire book. It could be anyone, any villain.
Oh, I'm not sure. It changed from time to time.
It's like that. Huh? One week I think Bishop is my favorite villain, and the next week I'm like, it's Baxter. He's my favorite this week. So it changes, and I think that's one of the joys of all this just huge ensemble cast in these stories is just there's always somebody doing something new that makes you kind of gravitate to them for whatever reason in different story arcs. It's like that.
I love Mateus' Shredder, especially the Secret History of the Foot Planet.
Yeah, I think maybe Shredder was one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's like, I remember seeing the Secret History when first Bobby showed me some of the pages, and I'm like, who is this guy? Oh my God. Like, just the layouts were like my finished pages. They were so beautiful. It was what a fantastic series.
What's really great about Ben Bates and Dustin Weaver is that they live and breathe comics. They're both very talented writers, in addition to fantastic artists. We were really lucky with this Bebop and Rocksteady Hit the Road series. And before, they've just done little snippets here and there of the art, but between the two of them, they are doing the entire series. Ben works in animation, and Dustin is a very in-demand artist, so the fact that they want to do this series, not only wanted to write the series, but then draw it all, I think speaks to their level of passion for the project. And it's a real treat. I'm really excited for you guys to check out this series. I'm so excited I want you to see a little behind the scenes. Yeah! So we've got a new character at the top left that you're going to find out. You got some time pops. You got Savanti Romero is back, who appeared first in the last Bebop Rock Shape miniseries. And we've got Wingnut and Screwloose are coming back too. You can see their design over there. And their version of him is extremely demented. Alright, so another question for you guys. This comes from the world of live action. What was the name of the female turtle who appeared in Ninja Turtles: The Next Mutation? I saw this green shirt in the middle right there first. Yep. That's awesome, Drew. Why don't we give you a comic book too? We got some right here, we'll get another one. Alright, so what else? What do we have going also in terms of our supporting books? At the beginning of the run, we did this thing called Ninja Turtles Micro Series, and they were spotlights of each individual turtles, kind of homaging the original Micro Series back in the Mirage days. We're bringing them back, but this time they're going to be double-sized Macro Series. The very first one is going to be Donatello by Paul Aller and Bram Rebel. This is going to be kind of following up on a lot of things that have been going on with Donatello for the past 50 issues. We're going to see a lot of his curmudgeonly friend Harold, and we're going to see the return of Metalhead, who has gone from being just a sort of normal robot to very much of an antagonist now. So you definitely want to see that. I think that's already been announced, but I don't think the rest have been announced. We've got the Michelangelo Macro Series. This is by going to be Ian Flynn, and also art by Michael Dianaus. This is really great because we've seen Michelangelo, he's kind of been at the forefront in arguing with Splinter and where they've been going, the direction that Splinter has been taking. For those of you who don't know, Splinter is now the leader of the Foot Clan, spoiler alert, and that power has been corrupting him a little bit, and Michelangelo has been trying to fight him along the way on the direction he's taking. And this is where a line in the sand is drawn, and this conflict between the two of them kind of comes to a head. And after that, we've got a very special announcement. We will have the Leonardo Macro Series, and it's going to be written and drawn by Sophie Campbell. Yeah! Again, this is 40 pages, so this is Sophie. Tom, why don't you talk a little about working with Sophie and what she's like? You're the writer, but and she's the artist, but that line isn't always so clear.
The thing with Sophie is Sophie's a storyteller. I would describe Sophie as a storyteller before I'd even say as an artist. And we've been working with Sophie for a long time, and it's one of those things where, and Mateus is very much like this too, where you write something and I'll choreograph it in the script, but the exciting thing is kind of handing it off to artists like Sophie and Mateus, because you're never really sure what you're going to get back. You know it's going to be as good as you hope for, but usually better. And Sophie's like that, and she's just full of surprises. Especially when we've done some of the feudal Japan stories with the kind of the traditional elements. There's just things on these pages, especially on these 2-page spreads, that I never wrote in the script. I had nothing to do with it. This was just an artistic element that she brings to the book that just takes it to the next level. And so I'm excited to see the one-woman show here with her doing this Leonardo writing and drawing. I think it's going to be a beautiful thing, and that's a perfect character for Sophie, I think, to do that.
All these macro series are kind of going to be dealing with the turtle characters individually and setting up where their kind of internal space is leading up to number 100. But this one this Leonardo macro probably most directly will affect the plot of what will happen in the 90s of our run. And then the last macro series is by someone who's kind of new to Turtles. I don't know if you've heard of him. It is Kevin Eastman. Kevin is writing this. We're calling it Target R. He's writing it. He'll be doing the layouts, and Ben Bishop will be doing the finishes. Kevin, why don't you talk a little bit about this?
Well, I'm not going to take all the writing credit because, as always with these ideas, it's like I spin some of the concepts and ideas that I have past Tom and Bobby, and they contribute so many things. I had it on one level, and they brought the whole thing together the way it needed to be, and it's such a fun story. I always I love the macro series on each individual Turtles that we did originally, the micro series. One of my favorites of those was when Pete and I did the Leonardo one-shot, which was mostly fighting in it. A very little dialogue, but it had sort of supporting. And I wanted to revisit that idea. And of course, I gravitate to Raphael, one of my favorite. Crazy Turtles to embrace it and take us to through this storyline. So it's Casey and Ralph are sort of the featured characters, but there are a number of other turtle characters. And much like some of the other ones, this does dovetail into some of the issues you're going to start seeing in probably issue 90 through 100, so it dovetails into it. But I wanted to do, kind of combine, again, this Leonardo concept with one of my favorite Barry Smith X-Men stories, which was Weapon X. If you remember that story, it was such a fantastic idea. So using that as some inspiration, but this story is it's not as crazy as Body Count, but it goes there. It's a lot of fun, and I'm excited to work with Ben Bishop, who's he's done some work for Turtles, I think Ghostbusters. He's done some fun, really fun covers, and we're doing a project called Drawing Blood together. We just finished it. But Ben is fantastic. He's a really fantastic, and I'm excited to bring something really special with this 40 pages.
It's going to be pretty amazing. The story is a ton of fun. You know, fun is an entirely wrong word. It's a sort of a wrenching story. It's going to be fun to read, but it's not going to be fun for the characters in the story at all. It's a tough spot for Raphael. We're definitely going to be pushing him a little bit more than we have in the past. All right, another question. How many? Nope. Got 1 6 already? We're close. 6 is close. Way over there, Ben.
5?
Nope. All right, way in the back with the blue sleeves. Yes. 7. By my count, we've got the original trilogy, we've got the 2 modern Platinum Dune movies, and then we've got the TMNT movie, and then TMNT Forever. I also was counting. All right. So, what's Mateus doing here? Mateus, you haven't worked on the book since like 65, right?
Yeah.
65. It's been like a year. He's been just sitting on his butt, I guess, not doing much. That's what I'm sure has felt like to a lot of you guys. But our major announcement here is coming in January. We've got a very special project from Mateus. It is Shredder in Hell. Completely written and drawn by Mateus. It's completely his baby, and I very much consider it a spiritual successor to Secret History of the Foot Clan. And here's a first look at his cover for #1.
Yeah, man.
So Mateus, why don't you talk a little bit about this project? You don't want to give anything away, but what's the kind of the basic idea, and what has been exciting to you about the project?
Yeah, well, soon after Secret History, which everyone saw in Shredder Micro, right? The Shredder goes to this place that maybe we can call Hell. And so in 50, he's killed by Splinter. So where did he go? But something different happens before he dies, right there. He kind of accepts his defeat on the hands of Splinter and kind of takes the warrior's death. So something different happens this time. So what we'll see here is what happens to his spirit and how this last decision right before he died changed him in a way that now we get to see his true motivations, what's behind his motivations, and we get to see new layers on this character. He'll be more human, I guess, but still the same bad guy, and we'll understand why, I guess.
It's a really fantastic exploration of his character. We try really hard to give all of our bad guys some depth. They're not just like the cackling villains from the cartoon. And I think this series really shows what a complicated character Rokuzaki is. And we really went back and forth about this storyline for a long time. We brought some other people in to look at it too, and very, very talented people have worked on the book, and we're getting to a good place, but it wasn't quite gelling. And then Mateus, he wrote me and said, "Give me one last shot at it. I've got an idea. Let me just give it one more go." And about a week later, he turns in this proposal that was just flawless in my opinion. I'm really excited. He's bringing in a ton of. It's obvious you've studied a lot of philosophy. I think a lot of philosophy comes into this series. It's cerebral, but it's still a lot of Shredder killing monsters and weird versions of characters we've seen in the past coming in. It's really, really something.
Yeah, and I think one of the reasons we went back and forward because I was too focused on the philosophical. Sorry, bear with me with English. And so you know, putting aside all the adventure and the action in it, and I think that's why we're not reaching. So yeah.
It's a really nice balance now. I think everyone was so impressed by Secret History of the Foot Clan, but the really big difference between this project and that project is, one, this is all Mateus, and two, he's just leveled up like 8 times in the past 4 or 5 years. His art in this is really, really fantastic. Kevin talked about Mateus' layouts. He's laid out most of the book, and I've seen most of the layouts, and honestly, they could be finished art almost. It's really going to be a treat. So check that out in January. Let's see, do I have any more questions for you guys? I do. This might be an easy one, but what year was the very first issue of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles created by Kevin and Peter? Let's get someone over here in the back there. 1984. That is correct. We'd love to open this up to a Q&A. We've got a microphone over here, so if anyone has any questions, come on over and let us know.
Don't be shy.
Actually, wait, you know what's funny is May 5th of 1984, Peter and I put out the first issue of the Turtles. So this past May was the official 34th birthday of the Turtles. It's like insane. It's crazy.
I remember doing the 30th anniversary book just like yesterday.
I know. That's crazy. I always say that I'm sitting up here, we're all sitting up here because you guys are supporting the original Turtles and the IDW Turtles and everything along the way. So we have the best job in the universe thanks to you guys, so we really appreciate it.
Hi, I come to your panel every year.
Thank you.
Oh, sure. Thank you. So, like, obviously in the beginning of the series, like, the Turtles were more, I think, like, street-level heroes, like, fighting crime in New York City, and I'm from New York City, so I was just curious if there's ever a time that you foresee the Turtles kind of returning to that. Like, they have so much going on now with dimensions and lots of superhero-type things, but are they going to ever return to, like, the roots of how they started?
Oh, absolutely. So, right now, we were talking about the Battle Line story, and that's obviously going to take them to Burno Island and kind of dealing with the battle over there. But because what's going on with Master Splinter and the Foot Clan and some of the results, some of the consequences of the Battle Lines arc, that's going to bring the Turtles right full circle back into New York City. And I can't spoil anything, but I will say that the issues 92 through 100 are going to key on something that I know Turtles fans love. So, and then that includes some of that gritty street action, but we will see them returning to that element definitely.
Yeah, that was very much by design. We started, the post-50 storyline was very New York centric. Splinter taking control of the Foot Clan in New York City, and we knew we were going to come back to New York City in a very major way. So the past year and change, we've been seeing the Turtles, go out to Dimension X, and then go to Siberia, and go to some other crazy places. And that's really because we knew we were going to come back in a big way and really focus in on the city. So if you've been waiting to get back to that, it's going to be paid off.
And some of the things, I think if you go back and we always try to plant little clues here and there about what's coming, and you'll see that the characters are exhausted, they're tired, and some of them, like Raphael, are voicing that exhaustion and saying, why do we got to be the freak police, really? I mean, why do we got to go everywhere and help everybody? And Battle Lines really will kind of bring that exhaustion to the forefront, and they're saying we need to get home. We've done the universe thing. It's time to just get back home.
Yeah, that's kind of what's exciting about the Raphael macro that I'm doing is that it brings it right back to the street level. And what's really cool is after the after effects of the Triceraton War, so New York is being rebuilt, so there's sort of almost this weird sort of New York-y post-apocalyptic practically vibe to it, but it is all total street, total mayhem, and you guys are going to dig it.
I believe we got some makeup on, but I believe that's Toka, am I right?
Really?
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey.
What you got for us?
Alright, well, there's a lot of creative reckoning to the old Mirage books that I can totally respect, and the Archie books as well. For example, like the Mutant Animals and stuff, you guys were like the first major book to bring the term Mutant Animals to the massive public, right. You know what I'm saying? And then next thing you know, Sarah and his crew were using them in the new show. Again, there's a lot of parallels to the Mirage books. Well, guys, there's even a little bit of crossover. Look at Savante Romero right there. That's kind of like, I don't know if anybody talks about this, but that's kind of like Mirage right there in the IDW universe. It's just Sophie parallels a lot of, it's apples and oranges, but it parallels a lot of the old Michael Zully run from back in the 80s. So, and I love, so Sophie's a fighter too, so I mean, she's come to bat for me, so I've got nothing but the utmost respect for her. But going back to the Mirage days, even body count is kind of like, I used to consider that actually Kevin's swan song for Mirage. Now it's on a whole other level, I believe. But would there be any possibility of maybe bringing back Simon into anything IDW related, or maybe even a body count too?
I don't know, you know, Simon, it was sort of Simon's got some pretty exciting...
it's a hard R. Body count is not a little kid's book. It's, no, it's a not. Hard R. I mean, I am shocked Nickelodeon was like, hey, yeah, go ahead.
Well, that's, you know, it goes back to what I said earlier about Nickelodeon support.
Yeah.
Jordan on the whole gang over there really is supportive. So allowing something like, because, you know, when you look at the things that, you know, that we reached in issue 50 with the level of intensity and that kind of stuff. Yeah. That is, it's great. Nickelodeon's been great and very supportive to letting us go to those places. But Simon did a cover for us, I think, one or two. But
yeah, well,
it'd be great to get it back in, but it's sort of. Well, let's go all, you know, when this panel's over, we're going to all go up to the fields, to the bar and Gaslight. We'll find Simon, we'll ask him. No, I'd love to have him back in some capacity. We'll see what happens.
All right.
Year, so. Thanks, Tucker.
All right, you're welcome.
Hey, do we have any more stuff to give away? I have a trivia question I can ask.
Yeah.
You have more? All right, here's my trivia question. Why did I name it Burnout Island? Bobby Curnow is Burnout.
This is kind of embarrassing, but I didn't put that together until like months after it hit the printed page. If I realized that, I would have nixed it, because I don't know. I thank you, Tom, but don't do that again.
I actually did it another time. So when they go to, I don't know if anybody's ever said this out loud, but when they go visit the neutrinos on planet Neutrino and their capital city is Smata City, that's our CEO Ted Adams' last name backwards.
Yeah, no, Tom loves to put in little homages to people. There's a Utron named Mariel who's named after someone who used to work at IDW.
Woody?
Yeah, Woody Durkins is our former head of marketing, Dirk Woods. You'll see him around. You see someone who looks like Woody Durkins at the IDW booth? That's Dirk. And so go up to him and ask for a pizza and see what happens.
Yes. Oh, you know what? One thing I want to say too, because I know Mateus is my fellow conspiracy guy. We love all that stuff. But one of the things that is going to appear in Battle Lines that I don't think is a spoiler because I won't give it away is the origin of Agent Bishop and how he came to be. Some people have had questions because he's had some rough and tumble battles recently where he's lost some skin and you see some metal underneath and he's pretty powerful and everybody's like, well, what's going on there? And you're going to find out. And I really don't think anybody's going to see what's coming. I hope they don't, but I will say this. There was a clue in an issue with Bishop prior, and Mateus drew that issue, so I'll just leave it at that.
Any other questions for us?
Come on, questions.
Sure, you feel free to, why don't we get your question and you can, yeah. That's a good question. I think right now, no one has talked about restarting or rebooting or anything. Honestly, it's not something that's my focus right now. I think we're all just trying to make 100 really sing like 50 did. But we'll find out. This time next year, we'll definitely know. I can promise you that.
Yeah, no, it is interesting because we, you know, especially in the mind melts, there's so many fantastic ideas. There's lots of ideas of things that we'd like to see it go or it could go after 100, but what's going to happen in 90 through 100 is so intense. It's mind blowing. I mean, there's so much cool stuff going on.
There's one thing that makes me pee my pants every time I think about it.
He just did. Hold on,
all right.
Hi. This is too tall. There's been a lot of interesting crossovers in IDW, like Batman and the Ghostbusters. I'm sure you can't like give away cool details, but are there any that you like looking forward to or like really want and hope happen in the future?
My Little Pony.
You know, the one thing would really love, and I'm hoping we can do that within the next year or two, is I'd like to make the Turtles Ghostbusters crossover trilogy. We kind of, Eric Burnham, who's here at the show this weekend, we've kind of planned it that way, and we've had full support of Nickelodeon and Sony and Ghost Corps with that team up. It's about as natural as a team up as can be. I mean, it's weird how well the Turtles work with not only the Ghostbusters, but with Batman as well, and that Rogues Gallery. That's something I like. Kevin and I always dream about teaming the Turtles with Daredevil.
Yeah.
That's and who knows, I don't know if you saw the IDW big announcement that we are doing some Marvel Comics now, and so maybe there's a better chance, I don't know, but actually, I love that.
I was in New York for this Marvel business, and I actually brought it up, and it doesn't seem like they're doing any crossovers whatsoever. Look, they're probably going to announce one tomorrow, but that's what I heard. So I don't know if Daredevil Turtles is going to happen anytime soon, but rest assured that we're still trying, Kevin. We're still bringing it up all the time. We'd all love it.
Our biggest dream is, I would love, Kevin and I talk about this, Bobby and I talk about this, we talk about all the time, is a animated feature with our Turtles, a storyline with our Turtles. That's one thing that we really want to do.
That would be a dream.
Okay, that's about all the time we have for you guys. We've got a signing at 1 o'clock. We are going to have a little mini giveaway. Actually, I'm not sure it's a giveaway or whether we're selling it. But we do have this available at our booth starting now. It wasn't there, but as of this moment, it is now available. So come by the booth, come by at 1 o'clock to get all your stuff signed, meet Kevin, meet all of us. And thank you so much once again. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.